Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are reading Canto 8, Chapter 11, verse 6 and verse 7. So I'll just quickly read 6 and then we'll continue together with 7. Soham dharmayena stedya vajrena sataparvan shiro harishe mandatman gatashvachatipi saha. Today, with my thunderbolt, which has hundreds of sharp edges, I, the same powerful person, shall sever your head from your body. Although you can produce so much jugglery through illusion, you are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Now try to exist on this battlefield with your relatives and friends. Okay, so this is Lord Indra speaking to Bali. So number 7. Shri Balero Vacha. Sangrame Vartamananam. Sangrame Vartamananam. Kala Kodita Karmanam. Kala Chodita Karmanam. Kirtirya Jayo Jayo Mrityu. Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityu. Sarvasham Syur Anukramat. Sarvesham Syur Anukramat. Shri Balero Vacha. Sangrame Vartamananam. Kada Chodita Karmanam. Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityu. Sarvesham Syur Anukramat. Shri Balero Vacha. Sangrame Vartamananam. Kada Chodita Karmanam. Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityu. Sarvesham Syur Anukramat. Ladies, anyone? Shri Balero Vacha. Sangrame Vartamananam. Kala Chodita Karmanam. Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityur. Sarvesham Syur Anukramat. Shri Bali Uvacha. What does that mean? Yeah. Bali Maharaj said, Sangrame, in the battlefield. Vartamananam, of all persons present here. Kala Chodita, influenced by the course of time. Thank you. Karmanam, for persons engaged in fighting or any other activities. Good. Kirtihi, reputation. Jayaha, victory. Ajaya, defeat. Mrityuhu, death. Sarvesham, of all of them. Siyuhu, must be done. Anukramat, one after another. Right. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bali Maharaj replied, all those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another. Purport. If one is victorious on the battlefield, he becomes famous, and if one is not victorious but is defeated, he may die. Both victory and defeat are possible, whether on such a battlefield as this or on the battlefield of the struggle for existence. Everything takes place according to the laws of nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Since everyone, without exception, is subject to the modes of material nature, whether one is victorious or defeated, he is not independent, but is under the control of material nature. Bali Maharaj, therefore, was very sensible. He knew that the fighting was arranged by eternal time, and that under time's influence one must accept the results of one's own activities. Therefore, even though Indra threatened that he would now kill Bali Maharaj by releasing the thunderbolt, Bali Maharaj was not at all afraid. This is the spirit of a kshatriya. Yude kapya palayanam. Yeah, that comes from Bhagavad Gita 18:43. A kshatriya must be tolerant in all circumstances, especially on the battlefield. Thus, Bali Maharaj asserted that he was not at all afraid of death, although he was threatened by such a great personality as King Indra, as the King of Heaven. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmaditam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Satadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasachari Shatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So one more time the verses. Indra says to Bali Maharaj, "Today with my thunderbolt, which has hundreds of sharp edges, I, the same powerful person, shall sever your head from your body. Although you can produce so much jugglery through illusion, you are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Now try to exist on the battlefield with your relatives and friends." And Bali Maharaj replies, all those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another. So this is a very, very interesting verse and a very interesting part of this story, because a demon is speaking spiritual truth. So the themes that I want to touch upon today was, the first theme is mentioned here in the purport, first sentence. If one is victorious on the battlefield, he becomes famous. And if one is not victorious but is defeated, he may die. So the question is, what is victory and what is defeat? And then I want to talk a little bit about Bali Maharaj and about the sentence where Prabhupada describes Bali Maharaj, therefore was very sensible. He knew that the fighting was arranged by the eternal time and that under time's influence one must accept the result of one's activities. And then, so those 2 points. But first of all, I want to ask you if you can think of other places in the Bhagavatam where demoniac people were speaking spiritual truth. To Vasudev. What did he say? I didn't think of Kamsa. Can you remember what he said?
Yes, he said something that he was just, what he did, he was admitting that he did very abominable things, but it was because of his past deeds or whatever, just it was arranged by
And
Duryodhan also knows what is the right thing to do, but he says that out of rajas he chooses wealth and power.
Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra was a big one. And
was this big one with the red hair. I don't know his name. He was also a devotee.
Asura, Vritrasura, that also spoke to Indra. Yeah. So it was actually Chitraketu Maharaj that became a demon because he offended Shiva, and because he offended Shiva, Parvati Mataji, Parvati, she got angry, which is it's actually true of all women, or actually, I don't know. That's my experience. That if someone is nasty to my husband or hurts my husband, then I get really angry. Then it's like I am not very happy. So she cursed Chitraketu Maharaj to become a demon, and then Indra and Vritrasura had to fight, and then all of a sudden, at some stage, Indra realized, I can't fight with you, or I can't defeat you. And then Vritrasura had to encourage Indra, and he actually had to tell him how to kill him. One other one.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah, but Prahlad Maharaj was born in the family of Asuras, but he wasn't really an Asura. I'm talking about people who were demoniac in their actions that also spoke spiritual truth. But you're close. In the same area, in the same family. Yeah. Hiranyakashipu spoke spiritual truth to his relatives after Hiranyaksha was killed. He said, don't worry, it's the soul, he doesn't die and whatever. So it's very interesting that Bali Maharaj comes also from this family, and now he's saying, yeah, I'm not scared. So that's what you can see that with really, really true Kshatriyas. They are not scared to go into battle. If the house is on fire, if someone is shooting, they run in the direction of the danger, and everybody else runs in the opposite direction. And you can also see it quite interestingly psychologically these days. You can see of the really, really true Kshatriyas that if they go into battle, they're not disturbed by what they see. Yes, obviously they have to deal with it, but they don't get these really bad PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders and things, because these days not everybody that's fighting in the war everywhere is a Kshatriya. They have to fight because they are told to fight, but their bodies cannot deal with it. But Bali Maharaj, he was a Kshatriya, and he said, I know that I might die and I might be victorious, and it's all okay. But the point is that I'm going to come back to Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra's arguments for not giving the Pandavas their kingdom was exactly the same as Bali Maharaj is here. He's saying everything is under the control of destiny. I can't control my son. Everything is under the control of destiny. So he basically gives up his agency, his free will, and he blames destiny. But where Bali Maharaj is described as sensible, Dhritarashtra Maharaj is forever known as someone who was weak-willed. He was weak. And why? Because that is, because...
He had this attachment to his son, although everybody said,
You
send
give
him
up.
away, just get rid of him.
Yeah, from his birth, they told him, it's better if you get rid of the son. And Dhritarashtra, that was his first mistake, is he didn't listen to good advice. And then that's the thing. So he didn't listen to the sadhus. And number one, and number two is he also didn't really see Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't know the Shastra. I mean, he knew the Shastra in the sense that he knew how to be a king and how to do his duty, but the spiritual truth of who Krishna was, he didn't know. Because in the Mahabharata, shortly before the war, he speaks to Sanjaya, and Sanjaya is a disciple of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva and Sanjaya they both speak to Dhritarashtra Maharaj, and they tell him about who Krishna is. And also, finally, the one time that Dhritarashtra could see was when Krishna revealed his universal form. He came...
He went as a Shanti. He went to make peace.
Yes.
And that's when he revealed.
Yeah, so that's the last step. So the Pandavas tried everything to avoid war, and as the last thing, Krishna said, "I'll go, and I will try and broker peace." And then and Duryodhana did the most stupid thing possible. He tried to arrest Krishna. He tried to catch Krishna because Duryodhana thought, yeah, if I catch Krishna, then the Pandavas will become weak and I will whatever. And then Krishna showed his universal form, and then Dhritarashtra Maharaj asked him, please give me the eyes to see. I want to see this form. And Krishna gave him. And then when he retracted it, then Dhritarashtra became blind again. So that made him think, maybe Krishna is not just my family member, but maybe he is very powerful. The third thing is, most importantly, that neither Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra did what Krishna wanted. And this is also kind of where people have a discussion that Krishna's duty, the reason why Krishna came as Krishna is to destroy the demoniac forces. So you could say that he planned this war from the start, but still, up until the very end, Krishna wanted Dhritarashtra to use his free will to choose Krishna, and he didn't. And that is why Dhritarashtra Maharaj is described as a fool, and Bali Maharaj is being described as sensible, because also Bali Maharaj had this, I'm not sure in which canto it's described, where we're in the 8th canto. In which canto is Vamanadev? Huh? He's still coming, right? Okay, so Bali Maharaj is going to have this encounter with Vamanadev, but still Bali Maharaj is just under the influence of his karma, because he's a demon, but he's not scared. So he's not a devotee who's going against Krishna. If you're a devotee who goes against Krishna, that's extremely stupid and extremely dangerous. But still. So the first point is that we have to ask ourselves, what does Krishna want of me? And it may look like it's against all the rules, like Arjuna at the battlefield. He said, what's this? I mean, this whole battle looks like something that's extremely sinful, because he's going to have to kill his guru, his grandfather, his whole family. So in the beginning, Arjuna had all these doubts, but at the end, it was what Krishna wanted. So that's the first consideration, is what does Krishna want from us? The other thing that is only mentioned in the last verse of the previous chapter, of this chapter 10, is that one of the verses. As soon as the demons started using illusionary things, the demigods became confused, and they sort of thought, oh, we can't win this. What did they do? Yes, they surrendered to Krishna. The demigods, when they get into trouble, they say Govinda, like Draupadi. When she was in trouble, Dushashan was trying to disrobe her. She threw up her hands and she said Govinda. When Durvasa Muni came to the forest with all his 10,000 disciples and they couldn't feed them, what did she do? Prayed to Krishna. The Pandavas, the five big strong men, said, Draupadi, you have to help us. I mean, what are we going to do? And she prayed to Krishna. So devotees know that's also a yardstick, that's also a measurement where we can measure our own devotion, is what do we do in times of difficulties? Do we try and use our own intelligence to solve the problem? To a point we should do that, but do we do it? Do we surrender to Krishna? I mean, Krishna gives us our intelligence, right? So if we are able to solve a problem with our intelligence, where do we give the credit? Do we say, Krishna, thank you for giving me this intelligence for solving this problem? Or do we think, I'm so great, I solved this problem by myself? So that's one other thing. So now the point of victory and defeat. There's a beautiful lecture, and I'm saying this from that I listened on this verse by where is it? Bhaktirasamrita Swami. That's him. He was in London, and he gave a discussion on this verse. He gave a lecture, and the point is, what is victory and what is defeat? And on a material level, in this battle, it would look like Indra is successful and Bali Maharaj is defeated. Indra has the victory and Bali Maharaj has the defeat. Another battle between Indra and Vritrasura, we could say that in the end Vritrasura was defeated because Indra chopped off his head, and Indra was victorious because he defeated the demon. That's materially true, but spiritually, who was victorious in that battle, and who was not defeated, but who was not yet victorious? It was the other way around, because what happened to Vritrasura? He immediately went back to Godhead. He attained his spiritual form, and he was no longer a demon, and so he attained his spiritual position. And Indra was still Indra. Indra was still stressed about people stealing his position. He was still the king of heaven. He was still on this material form, on this material plane. So victory on a material level, victory isn't always victory, and defeat isn't always defeat. We can see that also when the Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Gauritai ki jai. So we can see that whenever we go out the book distributors would tell you that you have good days on the street and bad days on the street. You have nice people to talk to, and you have terrible people to talk to that treat you like that you are a worm and stool. But who is, and sometimes you also get the opportunity, or you are also sometimes put in a situation where an atheist defeats you with his atheistic arguments. But who's victorious? Who's victorious? The devotee is always victorious, because the atheist, however smart they can be, and it is true that if you are not, Prabhupada could defeat anyone. I mean, there's a story in which, there's maybe even a book, I don't know what it's called, but there's a book in which Prabhupada defeats all the main philosophers, all the Western philosophers. There's one devotee, I can't remember his name, maybe someone knows, that Prabhupada said that he brought Prabhupada, every day he brought them the main arguments of all the Western philosophers, and Prabhupada would give counter arguments, and obviously Prabhupada smashed them. And then Prabhupada flipped it around. He said, okay, now you try and you're the devotee and Prabhupada still smashed him. So Prabhupada could do everything. And sometimes we are in the situation where the atheists, and not even that, just people logically defeat the arguments. And That's always bad, but that only means that we ourselves are not very firmly rooted in the Shastra. And it may look like a victory for the atheists and a defeat for the devotees, but it's not like that, because the atheist is still an atheist. He still doesn't believe in God, and he may think, ah ha ha, I defeated the devotee. He's proud, and pride always, if you become proud, then you're finished, bas. But the devotee may temporarily be defeated logically, but he's not defeated spiritually, because the effort of going out and preaching is already the victory, and that victory can never be taken away, even if it looks externally as if you're only distributing one book or two books. This is a story that Maharaj was telling, that a devotee, that happened to a devotee. He was defeated by an atheist and he was almost crying. And Maharaj said, don't stress, it's okay. You make the effort, and if you continue to develop your knowledge in spiritual knowledge, and if you continue to go out, that's the victory. So Keshava Swami, Swami Bhagavan Keshava Swami, he gives a wonderful class in some university where he asks the question: if you want to know what is failure, if you want to know what is success, you have to understand what is failure. And that's exactly his point, is that material success has absolutely nothing to do with spiritual success. What we see in our movement, we see devotees that are dirt poor, that they struggle everywhere, but they are extremely good devotees. They are extremely rooted in Shastra. They are humble. They know everything that is in the Bhagavatam, and they are wonderful people, but materially, not so much, right? So the point is that victory, the ultimate victory, is always judged from a spiritual standpoint. Is at the end of the day, we have to be able to go to sleep saying, did I try my best? In one lecture, Keshava Maharaj got this question, is, when do we know that we're successful? And he said, if you can tell yourself at the end of the day that you did your best, that's it. And not just materially, but also spiritually. Did I really give my all to Krishna? Prabhupada usually says, there's this one situation where a rich man came to Prabhupada and he offered him money, and I can't remember the story, but Prabhupada in the end, he told the devotees, Krishna's not looking what you give him, Krishna's looking at what you keep behind your back. So I once had this wonderful experience. We were doing Harinam in South Africa, and one woman came up to me, and it was obvious that she was living on the streets. And she said, this is so wonderful, that this chanting, and I really want to give something. And I said, sure. And she asked me if she can give something. And I said, sure, you can give something. And she gave me a few cents, like 20, 30 cents, 50 cents maybe. But I got goosebumps, because I knew that is what she had 50 cents, and that is what she gave. She gave everything. And I thought, and in that moment I realized, this is what devotion is that you give what you have to give, everything. And our everything changes. Sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have really good days, but in the end, the everything that we have to give, just everything from inside, from outside, isn't always the same. If you don't sleep well for many months, then what you can give is not as much as when you sleep well for 4 months. So at the end of the day, we have to be honest with ourselves to know that, okay, did I do everything? And my motivation is to please Krishna. So we always have to do a trifecta. We have to always have the triangle: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That's why gurus are so important. Shiksha, Diksha, sadhus, the senior devotees, the people who have experienced much more than you in life and already know because they've experienced it, and Shastra. So whatever we have to do, we have to check it by those three. And our motivation should be, and that's also something that we have to work on, is because sometimes we do something because it feels good, but in the end, Krishna has to be happy. And in the end, we have to know, did I do my best? And that would be the victory. Whether it looks like a material defeat or not, that is the victory, the effort that we put in. All right, so that's what I wanted to say. Do you have any other realizations, thoughts, criticisms, questions? Dun, dun, dun. Anything?
Successful is when we are at the end, when we remember Krishna.
Yes.
When we are successful.
Yeah, success is remembering Krishna. And that's extremely difficult. I have to say, it's because we are caught up in this material world. Even as devotees, even me, I sometimes feel like, oh, what have I done with my life? I won't say how old I am, but I'm not the youngest anymore. And what have I done with my life? Sometimes I feel like that, but because recently I recently started working with another company, and the owner of the company, I'm a freelancer, but she owns the company, and I just work whenever there's teaching, because I teach. And she is younger than I am. She has 3 businesses, so 3 different things that she does. And I mean, she's a ball of energy that I cannot describe. And sometimes if I compare myself to her, then it may look, may not look so good. But whenever I spend time with her, I always think, oh, I can see that she still struggles. That's her struggle. She tries to be successful, but she doesn't understand really what success is. So, but not that, I mean, now the point is that we have to be successful. We not only have to understand what success is, but we have to endeavor. So just one last thought is that darshan means that not only do we see Krishna, but we have to be seen by Krishna. And that always starts with sincerity. So Aufrichtigkeit, sincerity. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that, I mean, those who are trying to become successful in material life, they have to at least make it 100% so that they can say, oh, I'm successful. But as a devotee, you can have 1 to 10 to 20%, and it's still remaining. But what they are doing is all going away.
Yeah. So the law,
in due course of time, and that's I mean, that is what also my Guru Maharaj says. Everything is temporary. It's all temporary. These plans they are making, they think it will go on eternally. Money will what they earn. It's not like that. I have a friend. He was very rich. He was born in a very rich family. And he was just, he was driving super luxury cars and had so many women.
Mm.
But now everything is gone away.
Gone.
Stop, finished.
Yeah, when you
Now he's
reach.
sitting in a pub and drinking beer. So, yeah, that's not successful. He was not successful at all.
Yeah, that's another thing is that material success is temporary.
Yes.
You have to give it up at the end time of death. Even maybe not at the time of death, before you lose everything. Like Prabhupada, he was materially successful and then he was not materially successful. Everything got taken away. So you never know. And our health and everything. So the thing is that, and I'm preaching to myself because I'm not a health freak, but materially people fight like anything to keep their bodies healthy, to keep their bodies young, to whatever, and it's terrible. But we should also do that. Maybe not the Botox and the plastic surgery and whatever, but not definitely not, but we should also take care of their bodies like they do. But why? Because it's a gift from Krishna, first of all. I mean, this human body is a gift because it's the only body in which you can think of Krishna. And number one, that's the first thing. And number two, it's your vehicle, it's your toolbox with which you can serve Krishna. So we have to take care of that. And on that point, let's go feed the machine with breakfast, with spiritual prasad. That's what I need to go and do before I jump into my classes. I need to feed my brain, also with food and not just spiritual food. So, thank you very much for your attention and your presence and your response and your attention. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Vanshakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah.